The Peruvian War of Independence was a series of military conflicts beginning in 1811 that culminated in the proclamation of the independence of Peru by José de San Martín on July 28, 1821. During the previous decade, Peru had been a stronghold for royalists, who fought those in favor of independence in Upper Peru, Quito and Chile. The Wars of Independence took place with the background of the 1780–1781 uprising by indigenous leader Tupac Amaru II and the earlier removal of Upper Peru and the Rio de la Plata regions from the Viceroyalty of Peru. Because of this, the viceroy often had the support of the Lima oligarchy, who saw their elite interests threatened by popular rebellion and were opposed to the new commercial class in Buenos Aires. History. During the Peninsular War, central authority in the Spanish Empire was lost and many regions established autonomous juntas. The Viceroy of Peru, José Fernando de Abascal y Sousa, was instrumental in organizing armies to suppress uprisings in Upper Peru and to defend the region from armies sent by the juntas of the Rio de la Plata. After success of the royalist armies, Abascal annexed Upper Peru to the Viceroyalty, which benefited the Lima merchants as trade from the silver-rich region was now directed to the Pacific. Because of this, Peru remained strongly royalist and participated in the political reforms implemented by the Cádiz Cortés. Despite Abascal's resistance, Peru was represented at the first session of the Cortes by 7 deputies and local cabildos became elected representative bodies. Therefore, Peru became the second-to-last redoubt of the Spanish monarchy in South America, after Upper Peru. Peru eventually succumbed to patriot armies after the decisive continental campaigns of José de San Martín and Simón Bolívar. Junta movements. Despite the royalist tendencies of Peru, junta movements did emerge, often fomented by the approach of patriot armies from Buenos Aires. There were 2 short-lived uprisings in the southern city of Tacna in 1811 and 1813. One significant movement, led by natives in Huánuco, began on February 22, 1812. It involved various leaders, including cuirassiers and township magistrates, but was suppressed within a few weeks. More enduring was the Rebellion of Cusco from 1814 to 1815. The rebellion began in a confrontation between the constitutional cabildo and the audiencia of Cusco over the administration of the city. Cabildo officials and their allies were arrested by the audiencia. Criollo leaders appealed to retired Brigadier Mateo Pumacahua, who was cuirassier Chinchero, and decades earlier had been instrumental in suppressing the rebellion of Tupac Amaru II. Pumacahua joined the Criollo leaders in forming a junta on August 3 in Cusco, which demanded the complete implementation of the liberal reforms of the Spanish Constitution of 1812. After some victories in southern Peru and Upper Peru, the rebellion was squashed by mid-1815, founding of the Peruvian Republic. José de San Martín and the Liberation Army of the South. After the squashing of the after-mentioned rebellion, Viceroy of Peru organized 2 expeditions, conformed by the royalist regiments of Lima and Arequipa, and expeditionary elements from Europe, against the Chilean patriots. In 1814, the first expedition was successful in reconquering Chile after winning the Battle of Rancagua. In 1817, following the royalist defeat in the Battle of Chacabuco, the second expedition against the Chilean patriots in 1818 was an attempt to restore the monarchy. Initially it was successful in the Second Battle of Canchurrada. The expedition was finally defeated by José de San Martín in the Battle of Maipú. To begin the liberation of Peru, Argentina and Chile signed a treaty on February 5, 1819 to prepare for the invasion. General José de San Martín believed that the liberation of Argentina wouldn't be secure until the royalist stronghold in Peru was defeated. Peruvian Campaign. Following the Battle of Maipú and the subsequent liberation of Chile, the Patriots began the preparations for an amphibious assault force to liberate Peru. Originally the costs were to be assumed by both Chile and Argentina. However, Chile government under Bernardo O'Higgins ended up assuming most of costs of the campaign. Nonetheless, it was determined that the land army was to be commanded by José de San Martín, whilst the navy was to be commanded by Admiral Thomas Alexander Cochrane. The 21st of August 1820, an amphibious landing took place in the city of Valparaiso by the Peruvian Liberation Expedition under Chilean flag. Said expedition was compromised by 4,118 soldiers. In the 7th of September the Liberation Expedition arrives to the Bay of Pisco in today's region of Ica and captures the province by the following day. In an attempt to negotiate, the Viceroy of Peru sends a letter to José de San Martín the 15th of September. However, negotiations broke down in the 14th of October with no clear result. Beginning of hostilities on October 9, 1820, the uprising of the Reserve Regiment of Grenadiers of Cusco began, which culminates in the proclamation of the independence of Guayaquil. Then on October 21, General José de San Martín created the flag of Republic of Peru. Actual hostilities began with the first campaign of Arenas in the Peruvian highlands led by Patriot General Juan Antonio Álvarez de Arenas between the dates of the 4th of October 1820 to January 8, 1821. He reunited with General San Martín in Huaura. During this campaign, General Arenas proclaimed the independence of the city of Huamonga in November 1, 1820. This was followed by the Battle of Cerro de Pasco, where General Arenas defeated a royalist division sent by Viceroy Pezuela. The rest of the liberation forces under Admiral Cochrane captured the royalist frigate Esmeralda on 9 November 1820, dealing the royalist navy a heavy blow. Moreover, in December 2, 1820, the royalist battalion Batallón Boltígeros de la Guardia defects to the Patriots' side. During the 8th of January 1821, the armed column of General Álvarez de Arenas reunites with the rest of the expedition in the coast. Viceroy Pezuela is ousted and replaced by General José de la Serna on January 29, 1821. In March 1821, incursion led by Miller and Cochrane attacked the royalist ports of Arica and Tacna. The new viceroy announces his departure from Lima in June 5, 1821, but orders a garrison to resist the Patriots in the Real Felipe fortress, leading to the first siege of Callao. The royalist army under the command of General José de Canterac leaves Lima, and proceeds to the highlands on 25 June, 1821. General Arenas was sent by General San Martín to observe the royalist retreat. 2 days after, the liberation expedition entered Lima. Under fear of repression and pillaging, the inhabitants of Lima plead to General San Martín to enter Lima. The signing of the Act of Independence of Peru was held on July 15, 1821. Manuel Pérez de Tudela, later Minister of International Relations, wrote the Act of Independence. Admiral Cochrane is welcomed in Lima 2 days later. General José de San Martín announces in the Plaza Mayor of Lima the famous Declaration of Independence. Desde este momento el Perú es libre e independiente por el aviolunta general de los pueblos y por la justicia de su causa que Dios defiende. Viva la patria, viva la libertad, viva la independencia. José de San Martín, Lima, 28th of July of 1821. San Martín abandons Peru. José de la Serna moves his headquarters to Cusco, and attempts to help the beleaguered royalist forces in Callao. He sends troops under the command of General Canterac which arrive in Lima 10 September 1821. He is successful in reuniting with the besieged forces of General José de la Mar in the fortress of Real Felipe. After learning the viceroy new orders, he leaves to the highlands again in September 16 of the same year. The Republicans pursued the retreating royalists until reaching Jaya in October 1 of 1821. Antonio José de Sucre, in Guayaquil, requests help from San Martin. He complies and leads the auxiliary expedition of Santa Cruz to Quito. Afterwards, during the Entrevista de Guayaquil, San Martin and Bolívar attempted to decide the political fate of Peru. San Martin opted for a constitutional monarchy, whilst Simón Bolívar opted for a republican. Nonetheless, they both followed the notion that it was to be independent of Spain. Following the interview, General San Martin abandons Peru the 22 of September 1822 and leaves whole command of the independence movement to Simón Bolívar. After a row with General San Martin, Admiral Cochrane leaves Peru in May 10, 1822, being replaced by Martin Guise as head of the navy. In April 1822, a royalist incursion defeats a Republican army in the Battle of Ica. Afterwards, in October 1822, the Republicans under General Rudicondo Alvarado experience another costly defeat at the hands of the royalist Simón Bolívar, the Northern Expedition, and the end of colonial era following the Declaration of Independence. The Peruvian state was bogged down by the royalist resistance and instability of the republic itself. Hence, whilst the coast and northern Peru was under the command of the republic, the rest of the country was under the control of the royalists. Viceroy La Serna had established his capital in the city of Cusco. Another campaign under General Santa Cruz against the royalists is defeated. The end of the war would only come with the military intervention of Gran Colombia. Following the self-exile of San Martin, and the constant military defeats under President José de la Riva Agüero, the Congress decided to send a plea in 1823 for the help of Simón Bolívar. Bolívar arrived in Lima the 10th of December 1823 with the aims of liberating all of Peru. In 1824, an uprising in the royalist camp in Alto Peru would pave the way for the battles of Junín and Ayacucho. The Peruvian army triumphed in the Battle of Junín under the personal orders of Simón Bolívar, and in the Battle of Ayacucho under command of General Antonio José de Sucre. The war would not end until the last royalist holdout surrendered the Real Felipe fortress in 1826. Aftermath. After the War of Independence, conflicts of interests that faced different sectors of the Criollo society and the particular ambitions of individual caudillos made the organization of the country excessively difficult. Only 3 civilians, Manuel Pardo, Nicolas de Pierala and Francisco Garcia Calderón, would accede to the presidency in the first 75 years of independent life. In 1837, the Peru-Bolivian Confederation was created, but it was dissolved 2 years later due to a combined military intervention of Peruvian patriots and the Chilean military.